I repeat, this is not a ride sharing video for you folks watching it on YouTube. Might be a couple days behind. Sometimes they tend to be heavy on the blocking, banning, and censoring. What up, folks? Once again, it is indeed your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. As you see, the program is titled Cognitive Politicians. We've all heard that President Biden is not within his mental faculties, doesn't know where he is most of the time, cannot string together two sentences, does not know how to hold a speech without the teleprompter. Many folks believe President Biden is on the downslope of mental decline. So today we got to ask the obvious question: what the hell is going on with Mitch McConnell? He froze for the second time. We've heard nothing but story after story about how Biden, with his mental decline, needs to be asked to step down. He is not currently fit for duty. That is what most folks would suggest. Biden is not currently fit for duty. For many of you who may have seen Mitch McConnell, or if you have not, I highly encourage you to go to YouTube, type in Mitch McConnell freezes, 47-second video, less than a minute, where he is having a interview with reporters and literally freezes. I'm talking about a person that is standing before you that appears to have lost all of their senses. Literally for a few seconds, you're looking at Weekend at Bernie's with nothing supporting the man standing up. This is the second time this has happened to Mitch McConnell, probably in the span of about a month or 6 weeks. Yet you hear the incredible outcry that President Biden needs to step down because he doesn't know where the hell he's at and he has dementia, or that Biden needs to take a cognitive test to show that he knows what he's doing while in office. Mitch McConnell is the Senate minority leader for the Republicans. He is the leading senator in this nation for the Republican side of the aisle. He is the Senate minority leader. Where is the same outcry? I'm not here to suggest that Biden is totally alert and within his faculties. But I am going to suggest that if we're going to hold Biden accountable and remain completely silent on McConnell, it appears to be biased. Now, there are some folks on the right that are pointing out Mitch McConnell in his health is declining, but it's very, very few. I have not heard many folks, maybe you folks in the comments can let me know otherwise. Have you been watching any cable news outlets, particularly Fox, OAN, or Newsmax, that are having an outcry suggesting Mitch McConnell step down? I have not heard it. It's certainly an abundance of it towards President Biden. I've not heard of it. And he is older than President Biden, literally freezing in the middle of an interview to the point where somebody has to ask him, do you not hear what they're saying to you? All of the cameras on you and you are completely frozen like a block of ice. Very little outcry on the right, suggesting that this Senate minority leader stepped down. All I'm suggesting is that if we're going to be biased, we're going to point out mental decline, but we're going to ignore what's going on with Mitch McConnell, which by all intents and purposes seems significantly worse than Biden, then you're being biased. Like I stated before, we're not defending Biden, but this guy is literally freezing on stage to the point where you got to ask him, do you not hear what's happening? And there is little to no outcry. Where the hell am I getting this wrong? As always, the program is and shall forever remain MAGA friendly. MAGA are my preferred guests and certainly who I want to talk to about this shit today. Tap the screen, get your boy up to 5,000 likes. As always, we don't block, ban, or censor anyone for their commentary. So if you come in and you want to tell the host he's full of shit, feel free to do so. I'm going to question you on your statements, but feel free, because at the end of the day, we don't believe in censoring free speech. But I want to know why the outcry towards Mitch McConnell is so much less than it is to Biden, when the guy is literally turning into a block of ice before the cameras. Looking in the comments, I just saw McConnell like Biden. I think poor man. Tim Skit, that's in my humble opinion, that's an excuse. Like I stated, the outcry on Biden is not poor man. It's sleepy Joe Biden. It's suggesting that the guy is a mental vegetable. That's not what they're doing to Mitch McConnell. The treatment to Mitch McConnell is far, far less. And the actions of Mitch McConnell, suggesting he's in mental decline, are far greater. That's what we're talking about. Looking, and somebody got in the comments, hypocrisy equals racism. Wow. I don't want to take it to that level, but I would love to hear you speak on why. McConnell needs to go, period. Somebody, that's what we're not hearing from folks on the right. I've got a lot of politicians, Republican senators and congresspeople, suggesting that Biden is in mental decline and he needs to go. How many Republican senators or Congress folks are suggesting Mitch McConnell needs to go? Because there's no way in hell to suggest Mitch McConnell is more alert and ready to go than Biden. No way in hell you could come up with that. So where is the outcry on Mitch McConnell? Freezing Part 2. Even Disney stopped at the second version of Frozen. Will there be a Frozen Part 3 with Mitch McConnell? My humble opinion, Pixar is working on it. Probably working on it with Disney. Look it in the comments section, or better yet, go into the box. Matt Meinhardt, good afternoon. Welcome to the program. We're talking about old men in mental decline. Why the hell is Mitch McConnell getting treated so differently than President Biden by the right? Talk to me, Matt.
Honestly, I have no idea why. As someone who is, I'm a right-leaning centrist. Honestly, Mitch McConnell, I've never been a supporter of him. He's ridiculous. He's always been ridiculous. He's always gonna be ridiculous.
Well, but he did. If you center right, you do have to give the man credit for he did two really big things. He's the reason why you have a 6-3 majority. Yeah, and
he's very good at what he was very good at what he did. Like he would, if he said something, he was pretty good at making sure he got it done, whether I agreed with it or not.
So why don't you? What did he do to make you not like him as someone that leans right?
It's the way he is. It's his demeanor. It's the way he looks at. He has his outlook on everything. I will agree he's efficient, but I don't agree with everything he says.
Let me just for shits and giggles. Do you support Trump?
I do actually, yes.
The reason I'm asking is because I'm only asking for one reason. You're talking about you don't like Mitch McConnell because of his demeanor. How do you like Trump then? I mean, if demeanor is a reason to disqualify somebody, how does Trump get through the cracks?
Well, all right. So it's when I say demeanor, I'm not just talking about the way he I don't like the way Trump is always out there bad mouthing every other person. That's not what he's supposed to be doing. Okay. He should be tweeting less, working on policy more.
Fair enough, and I agree with that.
I don't agree with a lot of his views.
Okay, I do agree with that, but in regards to Mitch McConnell, taking his demeanor out of it, because I don't want folks to be voting based on emotion or based on feeling. Do you like the policies of Mitch McConnell?
Do I what? Sorry, you broke up a bit.
Do you like the policies of Mitch McConnell?
No, I do not. I disagree with Mitch McConnell's policies more than I do a lot of other people. What
policies have Mitch promoted that you don't agree with? To me, he seems like a true blue conservative.
So there's a lot of conservatives who really honestly, when it comes to the LGBT stuff, a lot of them honestly don't really care one way or the other. Mitch McConnell, though, is so hardline bigoted, it's ridiculous.
Okay, so you agree with us liberals then that you believe that the guy is a bigot?
Oh, agreed. No, I will be the first. I will be one, as a right-leaning centrist. I will be one of the first people to say Mitch McConnell is a very flagrant bigot.
So then I have to ask the obvious question. If you can see the bigotry of Mitch McConnell like us folks on the left can see it, what does it say about the Republican Party that they gave him the highest Senate position available?
It says that they wanted. All right. So honestly, what it says is they're going to use the exact same thing that the left does. They're going to use their best weapons against their political opponents, no matter at all costs, even at the sake of their own morals.
Right.
I mean, for example, Nancy Pelosi is extremely messed up. I despise the woman with a passion.
Define.
Utilizing her as a weapon.
Wait. Define messed up. Give me your definition of messed up.
Everything she says makes me want to drive my head through a brick wall.
Well, you lean right. She's a liberal. That's supposed to happen. But give me something she's done that's so bad you want to crack your own cranium.
Where to start? Let's see.
Start at the beginning.
I think it's also one of the things that made me want to drive my head through a brick wall with her was her lack of respect for offices.
Wait a minute, hold on, you're killing me. How could you hold both Mitch McConnell and now Nancy Pelosi accountable for demeanor and lack of respect while voting for Trump? Talk to me, clear my head, I'm losing you.
So what I'm talking about is, my thing is this, you should always respect the office, right?
You really see Trump as respecting the office?
Well, no, hold on. No, you're not listening.
Okay, all right. I'm going to shut the hell up and let you talk. Explain this to me.
For example, let's go back a few years to Obama's presidency. Obama's the president. The office of the president should be respected at all by
Obama. You talking about the Kenyan? You talking about the guy from Kenya?
He's from Hawaii. Everyone who keeps saying he's from Kenya needs to stop.
I'm just talking about, you're talking about respecting the office. I'm just trying to find out where the part about Trump respecting the office comes in.
Well, so like, for example, if you're Speaker of the House, you respect the president, you respect their office, you don't go out of your way to, badmouth the office itself.
What if you're sleeping? You see what I'm saying?
When I'm talking about Pelosi is when Trump gave a State of the Union address, and she ripped up the speech. That was wrong of her.
Yeah, but you don't.
You didn't agree with him?
I agree. Ripping his speech up during the State of the Union I agree that's disrespectful as hell. But you don't see sleepy Joe Biden or Obama's born in Kenya. You don't see that as disrespecting the office at all?
Oh. All right, so I'm talking more as a politician. The politicians should respect the office. If the people want to have their opinions, that's their right as a citizen.
So because Trump is in the middle of being president, it's okay in the middle to disrespect the office. But once he gets president again, he needs to stop it.
Oh, no, he needs to stop, too.
Okay.
I am condemning him just as much as I'm condemning everybody. I don't say Trump was innocent.
Okay, there we go.
Trump was just as bad as everybody else.
But you're disqualifying the other people for disrespecting the office while supporting Trump and admitting he's doing the same thing.
I voted for him, and I would vote for him again because of certain policy.
Okay. So in other words, disrespecting the office really does not matter as long as the policies are good.
Okay, I see. I think you got me there.
Okay. I just want to make sure I understand. I'm just trying to get clarity.
Yeah, no, I see the flaw in my own view right there.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I just want to make sure we're seeing the same thing. Fair enough. But I understand. If you lean right, you don't have any business voting for Biden or liberals. I totally agree with that part. You just kind of threw me off when you said that Mitch McConnell's demeanor and Nancy Pelosi disrespect for the office is something you didn't like when you won for Trump. So I had to question you on it. But listen, I got to move it on, Matt. I'll give you the last word. Go ahead.
Like I said, I'm a centrist. I voted for Obama in his second term because that was the only term I was actually able to legally vote for him.
So you picked Obama over Romney?
Yes, I did.
Okay, fair enough. I want to say this before I let you go. I am often amazed at how many Trump supporters I get on the program that voted for Obama. It is incredible. I'd say probably 40-50% of the Trump supporters I talk to suggest they voted for Obama. What makes you vote for Obama? And then switch to Trump when you look at, as you say, the policies. One guy is fairly far to the left, the other is fairly far to the right. How does that happen?
So, I voted for Obama because when I first voted for Obama, it was because growing up, I let people influence my vote and where I should vote. And I voted for him thinking, this is going to be a good thing. And then I joined the military, and I didn't like, after serving and being out in the world, I didn't like really what I saw. So I said, I thought, you know what? Why not give the other guy a shot? Let me vote the other side of the aisle this time.
But are you voting for the personality, or are you voting for the policy? Second Amendment, abortion, religion. I mean, these guys are polar opposite. How do you vote for one and then go to the other?
You're right. There are polar opposites, and I wish there was somebody who was more smack in the middle. For example, like I said, I'm right leaning, but when it comes to say for example abortion, I don't care. It's not my freaking choice. It's not religion plays no part in law, or it shouldn't.
It shouldn't, but it does.
I don't care what people do. I don't care who you are, what you do, or who you screw, as long as you don't try to force it down my throat.
Well, the phrase forcing it down your throat is all relative. It's amazing, everything from interracial marriage to same-sex marriage. The excuse has always been we don't want to make it legal because it's forcing it down the kids' throat. Hell, even teaching history accurately, folks are using the kids as a reason not to do that. I don't really know when it comes to shoving it down throats because everybody got a different definition of what that is.
What I mean by that, my definition would be, for example, if you look at, say, the baker in, I want to say it was Colorado, where he said, due to his religious views, I don't want to make a cake for a gay wedding.
You know that's an actual fictional case like Roe v. Wade. That's actually not based on a real case, how they got that law changed, but that was based on a fictional case. There was no real baker that was being asked to make a cake. They just went to court and made that shit up and got an actual ruling based on it.
That I'd have to look up.
Yeah.
If that's the case, and I'm definitely going to look into it more.
Yeah.
But the principle still stands. I would say that you shouldn't be able to force a private business or establishment to forsake their values based on yours.
What if your values is not serving black people? Should you be able to adhere to that?
No, that's...
Why not?
Like I'm saying, when I'm talking about something simple, say a bakery.
Yeah, I got a bakery that wants me to make a cake that has NWA on top of the cake. How dare they make me put these vile rap artists on the cake? I don't want to serve African Americans. They like hip hop too much. Why should I be forced as a private business owner to serve African Americans?
I feel
Take your time.
I feel like when you said it's fictional now, so it makes me have to question the validity of what I remember learning about it. Was that because from what I remember was the baker said that he had no problem recommending somebody else and saying, I just personally can't do it because of XYZ.
Yeah, and what if your religion teaches you that African Americans, they're a dirty race or something, and you don't want to make a cake for them? I mean, it's the same with the LGBT community. You believe this is a sin, you don't want to make something for them. Maybe you believe African Americans eating cake is a sin. We never know. But why should you be required to deal with African Americans?
You're right. That's. You see, unlike some people, I'm able to admit when I'm wrong.
Yeah. All right.
I am wrong in this case.
Fair enough. All right, Matt. I do got to move it on, but it's certainly a pleasure. You're always welcome back.
Thank you for taking the time to educate me myself.
Hey, I enjoyed the conversation. Come on back anytime. My door's always open. All right, looking in the box. Stretch before you do gymnastics, bro. What the hell does that mean? President Trump is commander-in-chief, wartime president. I don't know where that's coming from. On YouTube, briefly, what did you say there? Can't compare African Americans to LGBTQ Depends on who you ask. Depends on who you ask, because they're certainly going through some of the same shit that has a hell of a lot of parallels to what the African American community went through. So to suggest you can't compare them, look at how the LGBT community is being viewed in 2023. And I would submit to you that if you paired how the black community was being viewed in 1923, you would find a host of parallels. What do you mean you can't compare them? It's very similar. They are fighting for equality, and they just happen to be several decades behind the black community, but they're going through the same shit. They really are. Certain schools, jobs, all of that. They're going through the same shit. They're just a little bit behind the fight that, say, African Americans and minorities went through. Looking in the comments, from a religious standpoint, being black is not a sin. Depends on the religion. Hopefully there's not a religion that says my ass is a sin, but I bet there are. Doesn't the Bible talk about slavery and things like that? I'm not a big religious guy, so I'm willing to admit I may be wrong on this, but I think the Bible portrayed slaves or whatever in a lower light than they did other folks. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Anyhow, we'll go back to the box. Tap the screen. Get your boy up to 25,000 likes, 600 plus of you in here. Civilized dialogue from both sides of the aisle. If you enjoy that, without any fear of being blocked, banned, or censored, you are in the right place. Follow the program. It is, always will remain MAGA friendly. We don't block, ban, or censor any damn body, but understand when you come in the box, yeah, Diesel Don, appreciate the hat and mustache. We're always going to ask you about your opinion and potentially question you on it. So feel free to come and say whatever the hell you want, but be prepared to back up your statements. Continuing it on, we'll keep it moving with Rosebud, 1668. Good afternoon. You're going to show the same sympathy to Mitch as you have Fetterman and Feinstein. Well, Feinstein is real bad. Feinstein is another one. And you see the folks on the left, or better yet the right, they've criticized heavily everybody you just named. Fetterman of Pennsylvania and Dianne Feinstein, who also is having some major health issues. But where is the criticism of Mitch McConnell? Where is that at? Talking about cognitive tests and needing to step down because you're not within your mental faculties. Where is that coming from on the right to Mitch McConnell? If you can see it in Feinstein, you can see it in Fetterman, and absolutely based on the comments, you can see it in Biden, but you're not saying anything about Mitch McConnell, then you don't give a damn about being cognitively alert. You just want to hold liberals accountable. Just try to say, doing it from a biased versus unbiased standpoint. I don't know what happened with my last guest, but we'll keep it moving. We'll go to Tony Stewart. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program, Mr. Stewart. Did you actually get a chance to see Mitch McConnell in Frozen 2?
Absolutely.
What the hell was that?
Man, listen. I watched him talk and I watched him freeze. It was actually sad. It was a sad thing to see this gentleman just completely lose his train of thought to where they had to come get him and take him off the stage. I thought he was having a stroke, to be honest with you. I thought that was a stroke.
Do you believe he should be allowed to finish his Senate term?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I believe that there should be term limits. I think there should be age limits on how old you can be to be a president. I believe all that. I just think you can't be. My mom's 73 years old right now, and she's got Alzheimer's, dementia, and so it gets me hot when I see people talking about Joe Biden having dementia. My mom could not stand on front of a stage right now and have a conversation with anybody. She would start talking about, well, where am I? Who is this? What? That's dementia. I see it firsthand.
So you don't see Biden as having dementia?
Nah, I don't.
What about early signs? What about in the early portion of it? None at all. No signs at all.
You know what? I think every person has a different
the way the disease affects them is different. From my experience, when I just don't see it. I mean, the guy can literally stand on stage and talk for 2 hours,
Yeah.
read off of whatever, communicate. He's when people try to criticize him, he can come back. Now he has a stuttering issue. Like, I mean, it's known that he was a stutterer. So if you are a stutterer, you're going to pause and try not to stutter. And I think people are misconstruing that motion for dementia.
Yeah, but what about the part where he shakes somebody's hand and then he doesn't realize he shaked it and go back, or he tries to walk off the wrong side of the stage, not to mention all of the falls? Does any of that factor in?
I mean, listen, it probably could be some of that. Again, I'm not his doctor, and I can't make a diagnosis. I think he's pretty cognitive, and Trump was making all kinds of word flubs and tripping. He tripped too, and had toilet paper on the back of his shoe and walked up. I mean, there's all kinds of different. When you're that old, I mean, I forget where I put my keys sometime, but I'm 54.
Yeah, but you can't do that on the world stage. And I see you on YouTube, Aunt Belichick, talking about those are the first signs. So I got a viewer that is speaking exactly opposite, saying that they raised their grandparents and they do believe it's the early signs of it. But let me ask it to you this way. In regards to you suggesting that you don't believe Biden has early stages of dementia, do you believe he is mentally up to serving another 5 years as president?
I personally, no.
That's all that mattered then. Doesn't matter what he got. You're saying he don't deserve to... Go ahead.
Yeah, for me, I have to cut you off. And by the way, I just want to say I really love your program.
Thank you.
Your platform. I like how you let people speak. You don't talk over people.
I try. I don't always succeed, but I try. But go ahead.
You're good at it. When you come on, I'm like, yeah, let me see what's going on over here. I grew up, which is funny for me. I grew up as a Jehovah's Witness, right? So growing up a Jehovah's Witness, you have zero political leanings at all, because you're not even allowed to vote. You're not allowed to participate in that kind of thing. So, but I'm not.
How the hell does that? I hate to, but Jehovah's Witnesses were always the kids that didn't get shit for Christmas. How does that work, not being political in a country that is run by politicians?
Because they don't believe the religion. They don't believe in the world system. They believe in Jehovah's system and the coming back into, Christ coming back. Yeah. And that's the system they're working to be in. So this is just, they're players. They live here. They work here. They don't participate in the worldly activities.
Now you grew up that way?
Dude, literally I'm 54, from 0 to about 16. My parents got divorced, and that's when my world kind of changed. My dad is still highly active. Pretty much all of my dad's side of the family is active. My mom's side of the family is fully active. So it's around me. They have their opinions. Yeah. They're like, whatever.
I never could understand it because a kid, back when you were in elementary school, the teacher makes you, when you come back after Christmas break, what did you get for Christmas? What did you do over the holiday? And a lot of us would bring our Transformers or whatever to school. And the Jehovah's Witnesses kid was always like, well, my parents buy me toys year round. I'm like, you ain't getting shit. Huh?
I said the same shit. I said the same stuff.
Like that's
I came back with lint. In my pocket. I got some lint.
I used to feel sorry. Like, your parents ain't buying you shit year round. We got all these toys, and you sitting up coming to school with that damn excuse. I never understood it.
I think what happens is when you're used to that kind of lifestyle, you don't know what you're not missing, right? Like, you kind of like, it sucks.
Yeah.
You see your homie next door getting bicycles and toys, or when your friend's family feels sorry for you and they want to give you gifts and things of that sort. But I'm sorry I distracted.
No, you good.
Kind of went on a tangent. But my point being is I've been able to look at the political spectrum from an objective view because I wasn't part of it. So when I see Trump and I see what he has literally done in a matter of 4 years, and the level of, because people call Jehovah's Witnesses a cult. They're a cult. It's a cult religion.
Yeah.
I can relate to that cult-like behavior looking at MAGA, because they will not. I mean, Jehovah's Witnesses, you can give them information about the religion, like, hey, it was started by a man. They've got child abuse allegations going on in the church, and they're hiding it, and there's all these things going on, and they will literally put up blinders, like, oh, we don't see that. We're not going to look up any information about that because we're going to listen to what our governing body, which is about 6, 7, 8 dudes in New York City, Warwick, New York, telling them how they're supposed to think, what they're supposed to wear, what they're supposed to watch.
Let me interrupt and say this, because you brought up the 6 or 7 governing dudes in New York, and I'm bringing this up because I had to write those guys. My first wife was a Jehovah's Witness, and for her to marry me, I went off like, what the fuck is this? Well, you gotta write some dude and explain why you trying to get with me because I'm not Jehovah's Witnesses. I do remember doing that about 20 plus years ago. But
That's crazy.
So give me some examples of how you see MAGA as being cultural.
They are unwilling to look at anything that this man is doing, and if he tells them, oh, that's a lie, or that's fake news, or this or that, whatever he decides to say, they just believe it blindly. They're blindly believing whatever this man is saying. They can have for the fact that this guy can stand up and say, I can shoot a person on 5th Street or 5th Avenue.
He did say that.
I would lose nobody.
But do you believe that? Do you actually believe that if Trump shot somebody on 5th Avenue, he would still have voters voting for him to be president?
You have to ask MAGA, because
they're going to say no.
At this point,
they're going to say no.
I would hope they would say no. I would hope they'd be like, yo, this dude's kind of wacko. But then again, people are very interesting in their convictions, right? In their convictions of what. Listen, some people have a really hard time admitting that they're wrong. Like, oh man, I made a bad. If you go all in, like super in, and then you realize that you've been duped, you're like, nah, I'm just gonna, but to have a guy that openly states he could try to basically murder somebody and you would still support him, that almost sounds like Trump himself is admitting, I know I got cult followers. But that's my point. So when you can, okay, first off, imagine if Bush said some weird stuff like that, Nixon, Reagan, any of these other presidents that come before him say just kind of like Pluto talk to me. And people are like, oh, I love how he just talks. That is amazing. Like, you can't, a woman.
It should be, in other words, it should be a line that you shouldn't cross. Fair enough.
Listen, the caller you had, the guest you had a minute ago, and you were like kind of giving him some pretty good examples, LGBT and black people and similarities. It's like you have to. The people just have to use critical thinking here. Like, it's got to be one of those things. It's like, hey, this kind of makes sense. This parallels with that. Like, there's a reason why this dude's got 91 counts. Like,
it's all the witch hunt. I've been told it's all the witch hunt. They're making it up.
Listen. Trump literally had the House, the Senate, and the executive branch, and he was chanting, "Lock her up. I'm going to investigate Hillary Clinton." Everything he could do, he had every single thing lined up for him to investigate this woman, and yet he came up with nothing.
Yeah.
So, and that was 2 years. He had 2 years to do something. Yeah. 2 years. Did nothing.
Yeah, it doesn't historically go down looking too well. But Tony, you know what I got to do, man. Appreciate.
Hey, thanks for letting me in your platform. I'm always here. Appreciate you. Love the conversation.
Absolutely. Come on back anytime. All right.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Looking in the comment section, he is still gathering evidence. Wyatt Earp, how long do you get if you suggested that the election was stolen? At what point do you say, listen, you've had enough time? I'd love to know what your answer is, because last thing I want to hear somebody say right before I'm about to pass away is, Trump is almost about to come up with evidence. You should hang around a little bit longer. Well, the doctor said I only got 2 weeks left. I'm already 94. I would like to hear how long Do we give Trump to present evidence that 2020 was his before we finally say, dude, you've had long enough? Let me know in the comments. Looking in the comments, Jeremiah, they said Trump stole the 2016 election, but can't handle it when they say, I get your point, that Hillary suggested Trump stole the 2016 election. Hell, so did Al Gore. So did Stacey Abrams down in Georgia. There's been liberals suggesting that the election was stolen from them as well. Two issues. One, all of those liberals conceded. Two, none of those liberals won office. Trump suggested that the election was fraudulent, it was fixed, it was rigged, and actually won the position and did nothing to fix the rigging. Abrams, Hillary Clinton, Al Gore, they all lost. This man told us ahead of time that the election was rigged. Al Gore, Hillary Clinton, and Stacey Abrams did not say the election was rigged in the beginning. Trump said it while announcing he was running for president, that it's all rigged. And then he won a rigged election, according to him, and did nothing to fix the rigging. Literally came in office saying it was rigged and went out of office saying it was rigged. With very little, if any, proposals in the middle to address the rigging. Abrams, Clinton, Gore did not have that opportunity. That's the difference. And of course, those three conceded. Looking in the comments, who cares when they said it? They said it, period. A lot matters in regards to who cares when they said it. First of all, they didn't have a chance to fix the rigging like Trump. That's the first thing that matters a lot. Second thing is they did come around and concede. And of course, you don't have them going nation to nation, holding rallies and interviews saying that it's stolen and we need to do something about it. So it's a little bit different. I'm not saying they didn't claim the election was stolen from them, but it's just not to anywhere near the level of President Trump. It's just not. All three of them could have went to the inauguration of the governor, talking about Governor Kemp, who beat Stacey Abrams. You could be talking about George W. Bush, who beat Al Gore, or you could be talking about Trump that beat Clinton. They could have went to their inaugurations and protested and did what Trump. None of them did that. They actually went there in good faith. Hillary Clinton was at Trump's inauguration. Al Gore was at Bush's inauguration. And they did what they did in good faith. They didn't go there to protest and cause all kinds. They're just not in the same camp comparing those three to Trump. It's a big difference on how they behave, despite them all thinking the election was rigged. All right, looking in the box. Appreciate you folks that are tuning in. Tap the screen. This is a MAGA-friendly program. I always will be, by the way. I always enjoy a good conversation with MAGA. Liberals are welcome as well, though. Tap the screen. Get your boy up to 40,000 likes. You know what I always ask. Try to deliver content you enjoy, civilized dialogue, both sides of the aisle, without somebody telling you to shut the hell up. You're in the right place. We're going to let you speak. Might question you on it, but we're going to let you speak. Looking in the comments, we'll keep it moving. Andy, good afternoon. Welcome to the program. Who are you voting for? Holly, I want to sound like Bruce Willis in Die Hard, but Holly, I don't know if the available candidates to vote for in 2024 are even all in the race right now. There is a real possibility that Trump may not even be on the ballot in 2024. I understand my beloved MAGA disagrees. Andy, you agree? Talk to me.
I agree that both of them should not be on the ballot just due to their age.
Give me
between now and then.
Fair enough. So give me a decent liberal and a decent conservative. If we had to get rid of Biden and Trump, give me who you think would be the runner-ups that would be on the ticket.
The only one that's got enough campaign already put into place and in motion is Gavin Newsom, and that's just because he was harassing Ron DeSantis and making him look bad.
100% agree.
You could run with AOC. Katie Porter.
AOC's too.
Katie Porter could run with him.
AOC is too divisive. Katie Porter, I think, is too new. I agree with you 100% on Gavin Newsom. What about the conservative side?
I think Chris Christie's going to take it.
What? Really?
There are enough. There's only 22% of the Republican Party right now, because I actually saw a real poll that is backing MAGA.
Chris,
And the ones that are backing the Democrats said that they might vote for Christie.
you think even let's take because obviously among the folks on the right, you got MAGA and you got traditional conservatives. Let's take MAGA out of the picture, and the remaining is discuss the remaining traditional conservatives on the right. You think they would support Chris Christie over the rest of those folks that are running?
Because Christie is telling them what they want to hear. I am going to return the party back to the old Republican GOP guard. And he is the only one that has ever had any kind of debate stage. You know, he's the only one that can beat Biden on the debate stage.
I agree with that 100%. Not that Chris Christie's going to get the nomination, but I do believe if Chris Christie was to run against Biden, he would beat him. I do believe that. Fortunately for folks on the left, we don't have to worry because the folks on the right are not waking up to Chris Christie. But as he points out all the time,
not waking up to anything, and we cannot have a president in jail no matter what they say. And even the Federalist Society has said no. And what are you going to do? You're going to go meet our allies with an ankle bracelet on?
do you think they're going to really... I mean, 91 charges, I guess to some degree, just being logical, despite what side of the aisle you're on politically, you got to admit, beating 91 Fed charges is a difficult task to achieve.
Vegas says it's impossible. Look at their odds.
I'd like to see that. Really, Vegas now you can't legally gamble on politics, I think, in America.
There are places where you can find the odds for Vegas on all those things.
Wow, I'd like to see it, because I know you can do it in Europe. I know you can bet on the American presidential race in Europe. I would love to see what the odds are on Trump right now with 91 Fed charges.
Pull it up for you later and send it to you. Yeah, but because I'm always curious, because in Vegas, they'll take a bet on anything. You know, whatever you can find that somebody will throw money at,
right,
they'll put odds on it.
Yeah, if I was a wealthy man, even right now among my friends and associates, I'm putting it about 3-1. I've had a few folks, who do you think going to win? And I tell them, I think with all of the things that Trump is facing, even if you think he's the best candidate for the race, I think with all the things he's facing, I'm willing to pay 3-1, and I've made a few bets. But if I was wealthy, I would probably pay about 40-1. If I had money just to make some money off of folks, I would probably offer about 40-1 odds. It's got to be beating 91 charges, in addition to the notion that folks believe that both the House, Senate, FBI, and DOJ is all against Trump. So if they could do all of that, steal the election and all this stuff.
Trump, FBI, and all the Republicans that are testifying against him, I mean, this is a Republican affair. Why are they even bringing the Democrats into it? It was Trump's DOJ. They're the ones who said the election wasn't stolen. It's Trump, put Christopher Wray up there because, Comey had to go because of that Russia thing that got him in trouble in the first place.
Well, let me ask you this. In the comments, Southside Born, which I am too. Southside Born, letter name is saying MAGA is destroying the Republicans. Do you see where Trump supporters are destroying their own party?
Yeah. Actually, the Republicans say there are two parties. There are Republicans and there are MAGA. And they said MAGA does not believe in fiscal responsibility, nor do they believe in small government and minding their own business.
But they are unified. MAGA is probably the most unified group we've seen in politics in a long ass time.
But they're falling off. After the January 6th thing happened, they lost some. The veterans are starting to, let them keep up with that anti-veteran rhetoric and see how far that gets them in these red states. Alabama made a point. Just because Trump picked out Roy Moore, Alabama said, "Now we're going to send a Democrat, send him Doug Jones."
Yeah, and I see in the comments, yeah, you mentioned the veterans. I see in the comments, John Joke is claiming that Trump hates veterans. I don't know if I submit to something. That's pretty wild. You don't think Trump has an issue with veterans?
Yeah, he does. You ought to hear what his staff has said. Every other world leader made it to the World War II, World War I memorial, and Trump couldn't because of logistics. No.
Yeah, but hates veterans. But you really believe he hates veterans?
understand him and he don't like him. The way he said he likes is war criminals not captured. Now, come on, now, hear me out.
Yeah, I hear you.
There's Marjorie Taylor Greene going around saying if you join the military, you're throwing away your life.
Yeah,
They're willing to cut
I
the
think
benefits.
I think
to
that's-
the rich a tax cut.
I think that's
Should he do it?
unusually harsh, though. I mean, Trump has went and showed up in Afghanistan for Thanksgiving and shook hands with the Air Force. I mean, hates veterans.
Taliban, who they went there to get away. They started fighting the Taliban, and he gave them back the Taliban.
Yeah.
And look, when Biden lost him in office, he had the cojones to go up there and say, "The buck stops at the top. It's on me."
Now, I don't disagree.
Blame the generals.
Now, I do not disagree that the phrase "the buck stops here" is foreign to Trump. I don't care what goes wrong in the Trump administration. It's never his fault. So I do agree with that part. But the hates veterans that seem to be a stretch. I don't know if I would think the man
The
hates
man
veterans.
got 5 deferments for bone spurs, but can play golf every weekend and don't bother him a lick. He comes out to his rallies to the song "Fortunate Son,"
Okay.
and he is one. And then he'll come out and talk about how he doesn't like the LGBTQA community dancing at the YMCA. Give me a break.
Okay. All right. You got me. You cracking me up.
You look at his audience, you're like, he may have 1 or 2. Where does he put them? Right behind him, so he can use them. And that's all he's doing.
But wait a minute, they do it, but that's not something that Trump does. I've been to Obama rallies, and because I'm 6'6", 300 pounds, and it was a whole slew of white people, I actually had his people coming find me and take me up to the front. I've been one of them people, so I do know that people mix and match, and they actually pull somebody else out and put me in. So I know that happens on the left and right because I was that dude. So, I mean, you know, it's
a Trump rally, and they said, does Trump support, these communities? And they said, yeah, black people love Trump. And they go, where is one in the rally? They found one dude, they grabbed him, dragged him over there, and he goes, I'm not a Trump supporter, I work here.
Well, let me ask you this before I move it on. Have you seen clips, and I think I even have it in my videos, where President Trump, after leaving his indictment in Atlanta, stopped off in the hood, picked up a sandwich, and took a picture with a black woman, and they were going nuts and shit like that? That has to look good for Trump, wouldn't it? In the hood. He stopped off in the hood and took a picture with a black woman.
Well, I think it's because, they need to remember what he did to the one in Atlanta that can't keep leaving her house because he said that she was stealing votes.
Talking about Ruby Freeman.
Yeah. They need to remember that.
All right.
Because she's lost her whole life.
Yeah.
And that makes me angry.
All right, but you got to give him credit for the good, too, though. You can't just fault him for the bad. What he did to Ruby Freeman was incredibly bad, but you got to give him credit when he also does things that are good, right?
Well, did he do it for the right motive? What's his motive? Motive is everything. Do you do something good because it's the right thing to do? Or do you do something good because a camera's watching you? Running for office.
I get your point, but folks would say that Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves for a motive. At the end of the day, as long as you do it, I don't care what the motive is. If it benefits me, I'm going to be happy you did it.
Yeah, but if everything else you've done has been against them, and you do that one thing, and it's so minute that it,
All right.
Look at what he did to the Central Park 5.
Yeah, I don't disagree that Trump and Biden, I got to play both sides, they have a hell of a lot of racial suspicious shit in their history. But I just want to make sure when they do something that is right, you give them credit. I don't want to just look at Trump or Biden.
Biden, but I do want to say something about the 94 crime bill because people talk about it, all the time. And in 1993, we had more crime than we have now. If you go look at a chart, and I mean by a lot more crime than we have now.
Height of the drug war. We were in the height of the drug war. You're right.
Yeah, and we had riots. All kind of stuff was going on. The 90s were a turbulent time. We had, can't we all get along? We had everything. So, he went to the community, and drug court was supposed to be for everybody. And Biden said that.
Okay.
and how they implemented that, and the 3 strikes and you're out. It was the implementation.
But at the end of the day, Biden, through that crime bill, is responsible for a hell of a lot of black incarceration. Would you not agree?
Yes,
Right.
but also ours is the community, the black leaders that also said that, you know, they agreed that something needed to be done in the community.
Yeah.
I mean, that it wasn't just him. It was pretty much the communities and all the government coming together to figure out what to do. And the 3 strikes and you're, you know.
All right. I just don't want to make it appear as
At
if
the
we're
end of the day, we need to look at what's going on today,
fair enough.
not what happened 50 years ago or whatever.
But you can't say, but Andy, you can't say we need to pay attention to what's going on today and not 50 years ago, and then bring up Trump in the Central Park 5. That's years ago. So I just want to make sure we're doing it on both sides.
Right, but I mean, you were asking me about how Trump was, and I just was pointing out, you know, but today he's got 91 indictments, or 90 indictments.
It's bad.
Whatever it
It's
is.
bad. It's 91,
And
yeah.
Biden's got a new trade deal between South Korea and Japan, and he's managed to get, you know, student loan. I mean, the man is. I am shocked that he's got as much done as he has. I'm not gonna lie. I thought we were just gonna have like a lame duck session. That was it. But that he's actually got something done, I'm fairly impressed. So.
All right. Last question. Last question, like what I asked the last guy.
Okay.
Do you see Biden as capable of doing 5 more years in the nation's highest office? That pause is not good. That pause is not good.
I haven't paid attention to his, you know, speeches as much lately as I should have, because I've been doing this equal rights thing for women. But I don't think either one of them. I personally think that at the age of 70, 72, you shouldn't be able to, because there's a start age, so it's not an ageist thing before the comments come from me, because since there's a starting age, I think 75 should be the limit for all of them.
All right, fair enough. All right, Andy, good talk. Come on back as always. All right, appreciate it. All right, looking in the comments. That's why I want to see Democrat debates. Holly, I want to see any politician running for office debate how they feel on the issues. I was certainly not a fan of Trump because he is so exciting to see on fucking TV. But yeah, you're right. It should happen on the Democratic side as well. But at the end of the day, I mean, Trump has pointed out he's like 40, 50 points ahead of all his competitors. And the people that are running against Biden, if you had to do the poll numbers, I would assume Biden is even further out. I mean, listen, the folks on the right want Trump. They're not a big fan of DeSantis or Chris Christie or Nikki Haley, so there's a huge gap. I don't know any liberal that thinks John F. Kennedy is a decent candidate. All of his support, in my humble opinion, is probably coming from folks on the right that want to spoil Biden. He's not even talking about policies that the liberals are discussing. If you put 1,000 liberals in a room and ask them what concerns them, nothing that comes out of that room would be matching the stuff that JFK is talking about. So, and he's in second place. He is in second place. What is the other one? Marianne Williamson or whatever? So, listen, we want to hear Biden debate, but it's probably more to see what his cognitive responses are as opposed to, you know, what he stands for versus JFK. We've seen enough JFK on TV to know he ain't the guy. He is just not the guy. So going back to the box, it would be cool to see him debate, though. It would be cool to see him debate. RFK, yeah, not JFK, not the actual assassin. Yeah, RFK, my fault. They need an age limit. We see that happening all over the place. Here's what I say all the time, just like with term limits, and I'll go back to the box. You guys tap the screen, get your boy up to 50,000 likes, 700 plus of you in here. I do appreciate that. Tap the screen. In regards to the age limit and term limits, I totally disagree. I don't think you need age limit or term limits because even though I'm a liberal, I defend individual freedoms and rights. And what I mean by that is you already have that shit. You don't need the federal government using the power of big government to step in and tell you what politician you can no longer have in office anymore. Just don't vote him in. If you think Mitch McConnell has served too many years or Nancy Pelosi's been around too long, don't vote him in. The right isn't voting in Nancy Pelosi. Liberals are not voting in Mitch McConnell. You're voting the guy in and then saying, well, you served too damn long. Then don't vote the guy in, period. Kentucky is a red state. That's where Mitch McConnell keeps winning. California is a blue state. That is where the likes of Nancy Pelosi keeps winning. You don't need the feds to come in and tell you that she's too old. If you know it, don't cast the damn ballot. That's your fault. So this is particularly to my right-wingers that are suggesting that, term limits, because that's mostly coming from folks on the right. All you have to do is stop voting the guy. Not only did you vote Mitch McConnell in for another term, then you gave him the Senate minority leader's position. You need the feds to come and tell you you're fucking up? No, just cast a ballot for somebody younger. You don't need any type of limit or law. You have that power with the ballot. Don't tell me you want term limits and then show up and vote for a guy that's serving his 9th or 10th term. You don't want term limits. You want the nanny state of the federal government. And you're hearing this shit from a liberal. You shouldn't have to hear it from me. You already know this. Going back to the box. We'll keep it with Takesha, I already know. I don't even know what to say, but good afternoon. What's up?
Trump going to the hood with 50,000 people protecting him is not a flex.
Well, you don't think Obama goes walking through the projects, do you?
I said it was not a flex, but he got all that protection. Tell me Trump went to the hood and got a sandwich. And you got about 75 people with guns on them. Stop it, Tim.
Wait a minute, hold on. You expect
That's not a flex.
any former president, particularly one that's running for office and is controversial as Trump, what do you want him to walk through with, an old lady? Of course he's going to have protection.
And that's what I'm telling you. I bet if he didn't have Secret Service, he wouldn't have went that way. Child, please. That didn't impress me at all.
I think you're holding the man to a ridiculously high standard. The fact that he should, hold on, Takesha, we barely get any Republicans that address us at all. You're going to fault the man because he showed up in the hood with a few extra guns. Even the drug dealers don't show up without protection. That's not a bad thing.
But this is what I'm saying, Tim. If you take all that away from Trump, ain't no way Trump would have went to the hood. I don't care what you say.
You're faulting the man for not going to the hood unprotected. Hell, I don't go to the hood without my gun. You're
not getting my point.
No, I'm not.
Let me explain it to you like this.
Sure.
Trump went to the hood for a photo op.
Okay.
Because he knew he had protection. If Trump didn't have Secret Service, he wouldn't have went to the hood for a photo op.
So what you're saying, the only way you're going to give Trump credit is if he show up to the hood unprotected?
I'm going to give him credit if he do more than just go get a photo op with a black one. That didn't impress me.
You drive a really hard bargain. I would be, even though I lean left, I would be super impressed if Trump pointed me out on camera and took a picture with me. That's big shit.
Because if it had been me, I would have said, if you don't get away from me, I know a trick, and it ain't gonna be no treat when I get her.
What are you, Joe the plumber now? Oh my God.
From me. Sir, respectfully, get away from me.
I don't know. Takesha, listen.
I'm telling you about me.
I get it.
I don't like it, so I'm not gonna get excited about him saying that to me or taking we're not taking no pictures. Put your phones and your cameras up.
Let me say this. This is one of the things I often say on the program. One reason why a lot of us liberals and certainly minorities do not vote for the Republican Party is because they talk at us. They make no contact with us. They don't come to our neighborhoods or anything. Here we had a guy come and get out the damn car, and we're gonna fault him because he had protection with him. This is a step up, even though he had protection.
But it's not about the protection. It's about the fakeness. You went and stood in front of a church with a Bible upside down, disrespecting the Lord. That ain't getting no points. He do stuff just for show. And if you just doing it for show, it has no impact on me. Now, what's the question for today, sir?
Damn, Andy, I saw that. Takesha, you obviously are resonating with one of the viewers, but I just think that we can criticize Trump. There's a lot to criticize there from the left, but I want to be able to give him credit where I think he's doing something right. I think any politician, certainly on the right side of the aisle, where us liberals think that they're all racist and criticize them, when one of them is willing to show up in the hood and pay homage in any way, fashion, or form, I think they deserve some credit for that.
Child, he didn't eat that sandwich. But what's the question for today now? What's the question?
I don't even know after that shit. But we're asking, Mitch McConnell played a cameo in a remake of Frozen 2. Did you see Mitch McConnell freezing? Because what's happening is Biden, his cognitive abilities are always being questioned, but on the right, no one is really preaching about Mitch McConnell freezing on stage. Did you see him freeze at all?
I did, but they not gonna say nothing about me.
Why not?
Because everything on the right is right and everything on the left is wrong. I have an 83-year-old neighbor. When I was leaving the house, he got 3 lights. He was out there cutting the grass and trimming his bushes on his 3 lights. He's 83. So it really doesn't matter about the age. And it does matter about the cognitive state. I'm like the other caller. I know for a fact Biden does not have dementia. I've dealt with dementia with many of my family members. My auntie has dementia right now. He does not exemplify the early stages or any of that. The only thing that's going on with Biden is he's old.
So then,
hold on, Kim. I went in the kitchen and put a boil of water on the stove to do some grits. I go back in there to put my grits in. Guess what I ain't do? Turn the stove on. Do I have dementia?
No, but you got some comedy. So then I have to ask them what I've asked the previous callers. Do you see, if you don't see dementia or early stages or early signs of dementia in Biden, do you see 5 more presidential years in him?
But see, that's my point. I can't say, because at the end of the day, Biden can, listen to me, Tim, we always judging people. He ain't gonna make it long. He ain't gonna make it long. Then you seeing 16, 17-year-olds dying and old people are living longer than the young folks. So we can't just say what his mind gonna be in 5 years because we don't know. I will hope that it doesn't get any worse, but we don't know. And today I'm cognitive. I could wake up tomorrow and not know the bathroom from the kitchen. You never know.
You sound like a guy on a battlefield saying you could get hit by a bus in the middle of New Jersey. Yeah, to me, you have a lot more risk on the battlefield. Biden is 70, 80? What is he, 80 years old? I don't know. I think
Did I not just tell you my 83-year-old neighbor is outside with his shirt off, cutting 3 lots and trimming the hedges, and he's in better shape than me. Because I don't even cut my own grass. I pay somebody to do it.
Yeah, but do you see Biden as being as well off as your 83-year-old neighbor?
Biden be riding a bike, Biden job, Biden exercise. What don't you see?
I see Biden shaking hands with people that don't exist, trying to go off the stage in the wrong direction.
You see clips from the news you watch, which is Fox News.
But those are real clips. Those aren't edited. Those are real clips, even though they're on Fox. That happened.
Handsome, when you see a clip, I would advise that you go and get the whole video. And why?
Takesha, you're on mute.
And why?
Okay, she's got something going on. All right, we'll keep it moving. Will You Shut Up, Man signed Joe Biden, great T-shirt. That was a good moment for Joe Biden in terms of, Trump was talking over him at the debate and he said, will you shut up? Because remember, he was suggested to have had dementia then and didn't know where he was and things like that. And he supposedly could not read off a teleprompter. But when he said, will you shut up, man, that was a very alert improvisation by Biden. So I'm surprised that phrase didn't go further. Trump has gotten more real estate out of Sleepy Joe Biden than Biden could have come close with "Won't you shut up, man." That phrase, the liberals, I guess the liberals are not as good or not as deep into the name calling, because Trump has been very successful in name calling. But "Won't you shut up, man" was certainly a good moment for President Biden. Looking in the comments, that was Biden going back to his segregationist years. Huh? What did Biden do to suggest he was? I'd like to hear that more on that one. Put Biden up against Trump any day and Biden will win, says Blue Dragon. You know, some of it depends on the coaching and things like that, because Chris Christie, by the way, and I know my beloved MAGA has no tolerance for Chris Christie, but he was the one part of the team that coached Trump for his second debate with Biden. Rudolph Giuliani was part of that team. Kellyanne Conway was part of that team. And that's one of the things they complained about is Trump went off the cuff. Because they, according to Chris Christie, that was the first thing they told him, is to not go on stage looking like that, where he's just talking over the person and not giving them a chance to talk. And he basically did not take that advice and started doing that immediately, leaving Biden wide open to say, "Won't you shut up, man," and get that type of applause. Going back to the box, I'm tired of Chris Christie, to be honest. Why? He hasn't been in politics a year. What has Chris Christie done to make you tired of him? As a liberal, I'm going to say right off the bat, Chris Christie has a point in suggesting that he was able to win a gubernatorial gig. Yeah, Star G-Mon, thank you. Grandma, thank you. He was able to win a gubernatorial position in a liberal state. For folks who want a moderate or somebody who can work with both sides, that's a big accomplishment, because you don't have a lot of that in today's political world. But I don't think a lot of us even want it anymore. Folks want people to be on their side and not be a moderate. Hell, even yours truly trying to discuss and talk politics with you folks. I'm often told, you need to pick a side. You're too freaking moderate. I had a guy come on the program yesterday and tell me, you are too far to the middle. I have never heard that before. He said, you are too far to the middle. What the hell is that? Going back to the box, tap the screen, 55,000 likes. If you guys want to show your boys some love, civilized dialogue, both sides of the aisle. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone. Hopefully you can get your boy up to 55,000 likes. We'll keep the program moving with Mickey Hubbard asking the question, why is the viewpoint from the right on Mitch McConnell, who froze again, so different than Biden, who's supposed to be completely out of it? Good afternoon, Mickey.
Hey, good afternoon. Talk about Mitch. I'm 100% with him.
Real quick, your audio is very low. I can barely understand you.
Can you hear me now?
I can, but I don't know why it's so low. Go ahead. I'll try to see if I can hear you.
Okay, I'm 100% with him. Talking about Mitch freezing on stage. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody cares about Mitch.
He's a Senate majority leader. Why doesn't anybody care about him? Okay. Okay, Mickey, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to. I cannot hear you enough to converse. I want to hear you, but you're just simply too low. I don't know what happened with your audio, but you were so low I could barely. I heard you say some, but it's just too low. Looking in the comments, you shouldn't just blindly be picking a side anyway. That is true. That is true, but we've become tribalistic. A lot of folks pick a candidate because their husband voted for them, because they're black, because they're a Democrat, because they're a Republican, because they're a Christian. Remember the McCain town hall where an older woman suggested she wouldn't vote for Biden because he was a Muslim, simply because of his religion. Some folks are even suggesting that no matter how popular he is with the right, Vivek Ramaswamy will only go so far because he's not a Christian. He's Hindu. Some folks are suggesting that. People do vote based on issues that have nothing to do with politics. It does happen. I do apologize to my last guest, but I even see folks in the comments. We could not hear you. You were really, really low. Continuing to move on, Robert Daniels, 313. What is the difference between Mitch McConnell and Biden.
Have me on.
Good afternoon, Robert.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Yeah. I'm a big fan. I like your show a lot. And
Thank you.
You're even-handed, and you seem like you're in the middle, which is good. And it's like there's too few of us out there that have both liberal and conservative ideas.
Appreciate
And
that.
but I will say that that I've gotten some kind of nasty and violent comments from the right side of the fence. I have. So, like in the form of talking about public lynching and stuff like that. I just thought it was.
So, do you lean right? Before we go into those comments, do you lean right or left politically?
Left.
Okay. That's probably why you get, because I lean left as well. But the public lynchings, is that in reference to crimes, or is that some type of racial issue?
They were talking about, like, in other words, that basically if there's going to be some sort of end times or something like that.
You're suggesting that if Trump is not victorious, folks may have some kind of civil unrest.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And they're pretty vocal about it and about the pew-pews. So, hey, listen, you know what? I don't own one. So, to me, it's like, all right, what do they got up their sleeve? There's a lot of them that own one. And so therefore, am I supposed to be intimidated by that?
Well, here's it. Let me ask you this, because I would ask you, and I would also invite folks in the comments to answer this as well. If there is civil unrest, if Trump is not successful, or if Trump is incarcerated, and there's civil unrest, what is the goal? Like, we know during the Civil War, there was a goal to either secede or whatever you wanted. Like, if you win, if you're on the MAGA side or you support Trump and you actually win, what is it, to free him from jail and put him in power? Like, what is the actual goal? I don't get it.
I don't know. I think that some of them almost view it as like a second Civil War, like they would have want to have their state be independent from the rest of the country or something like that. I don't know, something of that nature. And I've heard some, comments from them. If you're not with us, you're against us. This type of comment, and and also, also a lot of religious people talking that way too, which is, they call themselves religious, but it's, I'm Christian and I went to Catholic and all that and believe in, being a good person and all that. But it's like, now I'm getting this stuff that's kind of like this radical type stuff, and it bothers me.
So, like, I got somebody in the comments. Scotty right now is saying in the comments, America will be gone, completely gone, in less than 5 years at the rate we're going. What does that say? How do you interpret that? That he's suggesting that America will be completely gone in less than 5 years. Where are we doing in America right now that would suggest the country is going to disintegrate in 5 years' time?
I that's what I'm getting from that. It seems like on that side of the fence, you got a lot of, people, getting dehydrated food and generators and preparing for end times. They really and truly believe it, to at least to some extent. I'm not saying that there could be some bad times in the pipe, but to say that it's going to be like to the point where civilization is going to be gone as we know it. I don't think that's the case. I think both sides have to try to. I have friends that are Trumpies, for lack of a more affectionate term, and they point at the gas sign and say, "That's Biden." It's like, and they say, "Well, no, it's more complicated than that." But I don't have an hour to discuss it with you and bore you to death on it. But it's more complicated.
But let's be honest, and I do agree with you that gas prices are more than just blaming it on Biden. But let's just be honest. If gas prices rose the way they have under Trump, the way they have under Biden, us liberals would be saying that that's Trump's fault. I mean, I say this all the time.
Right.
When you're president, whatever happens while you're president, you're going to get the blame whether it's your fault or not.
Right, that's correct. And the fact that Trump was cutting deals with the OPEC members, including Saudi Arabia and Russia, to both lower production and raise production, that's like, and he didn't really do anything as far as, he talked a good game as far as actual increasing U.S. energy independence, and really didn't do anything that much. And the other thing is on that is our refining capacity. You just had 2 big refineries blow up recently, and how does that affect things? People just like say, well, it's the president. No, there's more things involved in it than that.
Yeah.
Refining capacity, there's a lot going on. But no, I appreciate you having me on. You're a gentleman, and more
and I do appreciate that. But let me ask you this in regards to the question I earlier asked about what are we doing in this nation to suggest that it is going to be overwood or gone in 5 years? I got an individual on YouTube that suggested drag queen recruitment. Do you believe that America is about to fall victim to a sea of drag queens?
No, that's ridiculous. What happened is listen, I talk on that side of the fence too. Like I'll get them on YouTube and I'll comment, have some comments with the transsexual, community, and, try to have a conversation. It's like, I said, well, geez, if you're going in and you're going into a library to have a storybook reading to make a point, rather than just because you feel like going in and doing a storybook reading to kids, then it's 2 different things. You're not really doing it out of the kindness of your heart so much as you're trying to make a political point and say, hey, we're entitled to do this. We want to be treated like everybody else.
Let me ask it to you from this angle, because this is something you overwhelmingly hear on the right. Do you believe the LGBT community, particularly drag queens and transgender individuals, are harmful to children?
No.
Why are there so many folks on the right saying it then?
Yeah, I don't think that it's this big factor that it's being made out to be. And it's like, they've been more vocal than, and that's partly because they feel that they've been oppressed. So they've been more vocal about stuff, and to some extent that gives the other side ammunition. They say, hey, look, they're having a big parade, whatever it may be, and it's not affecting me. It's not affecting the kids. I do think that, obviously on some stuff, I question it, as, I see like parents, having their kids go in for, sexual change type things. And I say to myself, if I was in that person's shoes, what would I do? I have a son who's autistic, by the way. He's, so I have to deal with a lot of medicines and stuff like that, and a lot of people casting judgment, things like that. What would I do if I was in that parent's shoes that has a child that has to go through that type of therapy? And would I want to have them go, wait until they're older? Me, I lean towards, waiting till they're older. I think that some of that's gotten out of control.
Yeah, and that's what folks in the right are saying. But I suppose before I let you go, I just want to ask you this then: if by exposing children to the LGBT community, whether it's a teacher that happens to be transgender or allowing them to read books that cover the LGBT community, do you believe exposing children to the LGBT community and aspects of it will lead to more children becoming LGBT members themselves?
No, I don't think that at all. I think that you're going to become what you're going to become. Maybe it'll make them more sympathetic toward that side, but you are what you are. Okay. I believe that's a genetic thing. It's not something learned.
So hanging around, so in other words, working out with Richard Simmons is not going to make you gay.
No, it's not. It's like,
fair enough.
I woke up this morning, and I'm not attracted to men, and it's like, if I was born gay, then I'd be attracted to men. But it's just like, that's how it is.
All right, fair. And I agree with that, but I've heard otherwise. But I do got to move it on, Robert. Appreciate you coming
Thanks
in
so
here.
much.
Absolutely.
it.
Absolutely. All right. And looking in I appreciate you folks tapping the screen, maybe 65,000 if you continue. Let your thumbs not be lazy. Program is always will remain MAGA friendly. We do not block, ban, or censor anyone for their commentary, even if it's critical of the host. So understand it. I see folks in the comments saying McConnell freezes again. That's what we're talking about. Cognitive politicians, because there's not a lot of outcry on the right against Mitch McConnell starring in an episode of Frozen 2, but there is against the likes of Feinstein, Fetterman in Pennsylvania, and of course President Biden. Why is there such a difference? Kids don't know what LGBTQ means until someone tells them, says Aunt Bella. They don't know what 2 + 2 is until someone tells them. We get that. But the suggestion that I suppose you're indicating that a man or a woman cannot be born gay. I suppose that's what you're saying. Looking in the comments, program is stupid friendly. I like that. Migoro 369, I really like that. Thank you. The program is stupid friendly. I may adopt that slogan because we do tend to be friendly. I believe that's how you get political discourse to take place. I don't talk down to guests. I don't believe in insulting folks for their opinion if it's totally opposite of mine or even critical of yours truly. I do believe in the First Amendment and free speech. I like that phrase, stupid friendly. Thank you, Magoro. Looking in the comments, kids should know what LGBTQ means, though. They should be educated on it. Politically correct, I agree, because that is reality in life. Children, I mean, I would assume, because we grew up in the 80s, 70s and 80s is when I grew up, and you could be quite homophobic to the LGBT community. They still existed. But because of the sheer amount of homophobia, it was not safe to come out of the closet. Didn't mean they weren't there, it just was not safe for them. So I do believe that children should know that this community exists. Otherwise, if you are born gay and no one's told you anything about the LGBT community, you are going to grow up thinking you are a freak, because there's nobody else like me out there. I've never heard of somebody like me. You would think you are a freak. So I do believe it is a decent avenue to take to let children know you're not alone. There are other people like you. I don't want to end up being a first responder on a bridge trying to convince a child there's somebody else like you. You don't have to jump off. You're not the only one like this. So I do believe that they should know, because you don't want to find out after they've done something dastardly that they thought they were in it alone. But I do also understand a lot of folks on the right do not believe it is possible to be born gay. They believe it's a choice. I totally disagree, but they do believe that. Tap the screen, get your boy up to 70. Now, going back to the box, we'll keep it moving. Mr. Krabs, appreciate you coming back to the program. We're talking about Mitch McConnell freezing on stage, being treated totally different. I don't know if TikTok's letting them on. Kids will grow and they will get curious. Let them do it on their own, and it's really the changing gender. So in other words, do not tell the children at all about the LGBT community. Let them be curious and do it on their own. Once again, that goes back to my original comment that they're going to think they're a freak because nobody else is like me. I have these desires to be with a same-sex individual. I'm attracted to other boys when all the other guys are attracted to girls. And because you haven't told that child that there are other kids out there like him, he's going to grow up thinking he's a freak. That's what I'm trying to get across. Looking in the, we'll continue moving. I don't know what happened with my last guest, Krabs, but we'll continue moving with Electric Wolf. Always a good conversation with Wolf. Welcome back to the program, Electric Wolf. What have I gotten wrong? Tell me what I got wrong. Always good to talk to you.
Well, no, I'm going to agree with, I was going to tell you, I'm going to agree with you on one thing, And well, on 1.5 things.
Give me the half.
And
Okay.
on 2 things, I was very surprised
Sure.
with you. Okay, first of all, the young lady from Alabama, I think she's from Arkansas or Alabama, that she was talking with.
Alabama. Talk about Andy. Andy's from Alabama.
Yeah, Alabama. Okay, I feel bad for her because that was liberal on liberal crime, and you were beating up on her, and it was hilarious to watch, but it was very, very uncool.
Liberal on. So when I'm giving it to a liberal guest, you refer to that as liberal or liberal crime.
Yeah, that was horrible. You were eating her up. You're a horrible individual.
I like talking to Andy. I just we had a difference of opinion. But let me go.
Well, yeah, no, you pointed out all her hypocrisy because of the fact that they just can't. It's when you're talking to people that are anti-Trump, a lot of it is just like, no, I refuse to change my mind even though it's been proven wrong, and they just refuse to. And then as far as the woman that came on after you also that was yelling at you and stuff like that, she just doesn't like Trump, and she just refuses to accept anything about Biden being wrong. Anything.
Yeah, but I gotta push back and say you guys are just like that with Trump. It doesn't matter how much evidence comes out to suggest that Dominion voting machines didn't do this or dead people. You guys aren't accepting it either. It happens on both sides. People just
Well, I understand where you're coming from on that, but the thing is that we take Trump warts and all. They're like, oh, he's a dick. Well, yeah, we know. But he's a dick. Yeah, we understand.
well, it's not necessarily calling him genitalia, which we may agree on that, but it's also defending things that he says that should know to not be true. At this point, him saying he won the election by a landslide, where's the evidence on that? It's a difference between saying it was fraud. I'm willing to entertain that. But the part that he won by a landslide, still saying that in 2003, where's the evidence on that?
Well, we'll have to see. I mean, we just have
How
to
long
let it
do
all
we
play out.
wait?
Yeah, I'm willing to let it all play out.
How long do
I'm willing
you
to see it all?
How long do you give a 77-year-old man to show you the evidence? At what point do you say you've had enough time to show this?
Until he goes to court on his 755 and a half charges.
So what if he says that I've been constantly being attacked by the liberals on all of these witch hunts that I haven't had time to present the evidence? How long can he drag this out?
Well, that's what we're going to see. That's what I'm telling you. We're going to see. We're going to check it out. All you can do is stay tuned. That's all you can do.
You know, I grew up in the 70s and 80s when at midnight, the television station went off the air and they played the national anthem. I don't want to stay tuned forever. I want to go to sleep. I got to get up and go to school.
Yeah, but we still have a lot of time left before it's midnight. That's what I'm telling you.
Oh,
This
my.
pumpkin's not going to turn into a pumpkin yet. I mean, we got at least 3 years.
Okay.
I mean, it's gonna happen. And hey, I was gonna tell you, you almost changed my mind on term limits. That was a good argument. That's a very good argument, but I'm still.
I get that. Yeah, to me, the term limits is asking big government to come in and tell the voter, you have voted for the same guy too many damn times, and we're going to pass a law to say you can't. I think
Well, maybe we can do some sort of an amendment or something like that.
I don't think you need any of that. I don't want big government telling the people who they can and cannot vote for. The people.
The thing is because once you're in there, you start to just. I think the people's argument with it is that once you're in there, you start to just campaign on day one to get reelected instead of doing what you're supposed to do.
Well,
That's why I think.
if the
just
people
going in-
keep falling for it, then it is.
Well, I agree. That's where I was seeing your point. I'm like, yeah, you make a point where you don't want government telling you what to do, and I see your
Right.
point. I totally see your point.
Yeah,
And then-
term limits is exactly what term limits is. Is using big government to tell the people who they can and cannot vote for. If you don't want the guy to serve 20 terms, don't vote for his ass 20 times. It's that simple.
Okay, maybe you changed my mind. We'll see, but I'm not fully on your side yet.
Okay.
And then the third thing, and you were correct that you cannot compare Hillary Clinton, Stacey Abrams, and whatever y'all
Al Gore.
to Trump. Al Gore. You can't. You're 100% correct. You cannot compare those three losers to Donald Trump. You're
Wow.
100% correct.
We're actually, I'm surprised that, how much we're agreeing on this. I'm really surprised. But yeah, I do agree that Abrams, Gore, and Clinton said the elections were stolen from them. But yeah, none of them won. Trump said the thing was rigged, won the presidency, and did nothing to fix the rigging. So as I tell my callers all
they
the
still sat out there and bitched, but they bitched after they conceded, except for Gore, because everybody forgot about him. Hillary Clinton went back and said it was stolen after she conceded. Stacey Abrams took like 3-4 years to concede after the second time.
They showed up. They all showed up at the victor's inauguration and did the respectable thing. They didn't show up and protest and start talking about taking the country back and claim the guy was stolen at his own inauguration.
Yeah, but Trump didn't show up at the inauguration. All he did was give a speech and say, hey, let's be peaceful.
No, he showed up with a whole crowd of MAGA on January 6th.
Can't draw that crowd. It's just that simple. Stop hating on that.
I don't know. I think Stacey Abrams could put together a few thousand black people if she needed to in Georgia.
Not anymore.
Huh?
I don't think she can anymore.
I do. I think she actually could, because she got a hell of a lot of the black community down there that has a lot of money, by the way, in Georgia. I think she could. I think there's a lot of love for Stacey Abrams. But the fact is, she didn't do it. That's what I'm giving her credit for. Not only did she concede, she showed up and actually paid respect to the person that defeated her. Whereas Trump, 3 years later, is still saying he won and not conceding a damn thing. It's a difference.
Yeah, I guess so, but they're still losers.
That is true. That is true. All right, Wolf.
But the thing about Mitch McConnell is, I can't stand Mitch McConnell. I haven't liked him for a long time.
What? You're another person on the right. The guy stopped Trump from being impeached, stopped Obama from a Supreme Court justice, so helping Trump give a 6-3 majority. Why don't so many folks on the right that support Trump like Mitch McConnell? He's been a true patriot for you.
No, he hasn't been a patriot. Come on, he's a piece of shit. But the thing is that he was doing something to benefit himself. That's all he was doing. He wasn't helping anybody, whatever. He was just helping himself.
You don't think the 6-3 majority on the Supreme Court helped the Republican Party? You don't think stopping Trump from being impeached helped the Republican Party? How do you say that Mitch McConnell hasn't done stuff?
Yeah, but he helped Trump not be impeached because he was going to... I mean, for him to be impeached for no reason whatsoever, Mitch McConnell actually was like, okay, that's enough. There's no reason for that. I understand he didn't save Trump's ass. He just didn't.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did save Trump's ass. If Mitch McConnell had a
by common sense, not like, oh man, Trump's really in trouble and he really did what they said. No, he didn't. And we all know that.
To me, you're making the same argument that one of the liberals, I think the one you're talking about, suggested that Trump only stopped off to be with a black woman for an opportunist position. As far as I'm concerned, when you do something for me, I don't care if you're doing it to pander or you're doing it for an opportunistic issue or whatever. If you're helping me, I'm giving you credit for helping me. And Mitch McConnell helped Trump. Maybe he benefited by doing it. We can debate that. But at the end of the day, he helped Trump and he helped the Republican Party.
Yeah, but see, I understand what you're saying. That I understand. Yeah, he helped the Republican Party, and yeah, he did what he was supposed to do. That's the thing. I mean,
then why the hell, if he helped the party and did what he's supposed to do, why does so many Republicans hate him?
Because the thing is that he's just a typical politician. He just happens to be a Republican, and people are tired of typical politicians. That's the way I look at it. But I haven't liked Mitch McConnell since before Trump.
And what you just said is the primary reason why I think Trump will have so much difficulty getting elected. He is basically convinced you folks that what a politician used to do to get a grade A is now only worth a D. You mentioned that Mitch McConnell did what he's supposed to do, helped the Republican Party, but he still didn't do enough. That used to get him an A+. Now all of a sudden Trump comes along and I'm barely even able to pass the class. That's why they're not going to want Trump back.
Well, because think about it. Mitch McConnell, they signed off on this omnibus thing that they just did with Biden and stuff like that. So he sold everybody out. I mean, that's why we're going broke. That's why we're in so much trouble. That's why we got the inflation.
6-3.
Inflation, possible recession.
everything because these guys capitulate to what they're going to get because they got earmarks or they got something, and people are done. People are done with that.
I get you a I get you yeah, but I get you a 6-3 majority on the Supreme Court, helping you roll back Roe v. Wade, something you've been trying to do since the 60s or 70s or whenever the hell it was, and I don't get credit for that. I walk out with people hating me. Mitch McConnell should be a god.
On a shitload of money that didn't need to be spent.
My God, this is why folks are not going to like Trump. You guys have raised the standard of what is successful to a ridiculous echelon, and you lowered it for Trump. 6-3, I prevented the president from being impeached, gave you Roe v. Wade overturned, and I walk away looking like a piece of shit. How does that work in the Republican Party?
Because you've been a piece of shit longer than Trump was president. I mean, it's just that simple. I mean, it's just, but the thing is, with his sickness right now, I don't know what's wrong with him. I hope he gets better, whatever. But the thing is, he should be
a god.
Someone needs to tell him, you need to go away.
He should be
right now.
He should be a god. He should be Reagan-esque in the Republican Senate. Mitch McConnell, I'm no fan of Mitch McConnell at all. I'm liberal, so I'm no fan of him at all. But just like with Trump, I'm willing to give credit where credit is due, and Mitch McConnell deserves a lot of it from the Republican Party.
McConnell deserves the credit because of the fact that Trump dogged him to do his job, and then he finally started passing the judges. That's what happened. Mitch McConnell got called out and said, shit, I need to start acting and working with a Republican president. Son of a bitch. And he started doing it because he got called out because he was still trying to be a statesman, and that stupid politics that only certain classes can become politicians, and people of the lower echelon can't become politicians. That mindset needs to go. That mindset needs to go, and that's why I'm telling you, that's Mitch McConnell. That's why he has that reputation that people don't like him.
So let me ask you this question. If Mitch McConnell, based on what you're saying, walks away as a piece of shit, name me a Republican senator that you think is great. Republican, not a Democrat. Give me who? Jim Jordan.
Oh, he's a congressman. Senate, Ted Cruz is there. He's almost there.
The one with the unattractive wife?
Yeah.
Oh my God. You putting him over somebody who gave you Roe v. Wade in 6-3. Ted Cruz what did Ted Cruz do to compete with that?
He's been normal.
That's all it takes is to be normal.
Yeah, you just gotta be a normal politician. All you have to do, you know, when he was running against Beto O'Rourke, he came to El Paso, because I live in El Paso. He came to El Paso when they were talking shit about, don't even show up in El Paso. And man, he showed up to a loaded up gym. Loaded. And he's like,
when you say be normal is all it, you sound like a liberal. Remember, you're supposed to vote on policy as opposed to emotion.
Yeah.
You're not giving me any policies of Ted Cruz. You're just saying he's normal. We wanted Trump to be normal.
I mean, Ted Cruz did the same thing. Ted Cruz voted not to impeach. Ted Cruz voted to pass the judges. Ted Cruz did everything that Mitch McConnell did, except come out and talk shit about Trump, that he doesn't know what he's doing and he needs to be educated, and tried to act like he's already been president before, and Mitch McConnell's never been president.
So I got to move it on, but before I let you go, I've seen this in the comments several times, and I want you to tackle it. When you compare Senator Cruz to Senator Mitch McConnell, some folks in the comments are saying the reason you favor Ted Cruz is because he kissed Trump's ass. Does kissing Trump's ass have anything to do with Republican success?
No, because he worked with the system that he has that was Trump. That's the whole thing. If Democrats would have worked with the system, they would have gotten with the Trump system, they would have gotten 1.5 million DACA kids taken care of. But they didn't want to.
All right. You do realize, by the way, that I did a show the other day, but you do also recently stated that doesn't matter what you do as a Republican, if you don't kiss Trump's butt, and that's a quote, he said kiss Trump's butt, they're going to call you a rhino. So Ron DeSantis actually came out and said what we're talking about, that if you don't kiss Trump's ass.
And the thing is he's wrong. The problem, the issue with them is that they just don't like the fact that Trump is the leader of the Republican Party, and his policies are the ones that are going to be implemented, whether they like them or not. He's the head of the Republican Party. It's that simple. And the thing is, they don't like the new dog. Too bad.
So you do believe that you can be a respectable Republican politician that is critical of President Trump and remain a respectable Republican politician?
Yeah, you can still, you can criticize Trump on stuff that he says or does.
Examples. Give me some examples. Give me some examples of a respected Republican politician that's critical of Trump and still is respectable. Take your time.
I have to sit down and think on it, but I can't.
You gotta sit down and think about it. He's a very controversial guy. You gotta think about it.
I'm telling you, handsome. The only problem is that, like, you've got these guys Thune and all these guys in the Romney, the biggest, fakest Republican ever. And you've got all these guys, but they just don't have what it takes because they have that mentality that they're politicians and they deserve to be politicians. They deserve everybody's vote. They don't need to campaign. They should be there. They were born to be there. They have that mentality, and that mentality needs to go away. It's just, and the majority, Republicans and Democrats, have that mentality, and that shit needs to go away. People need to wake up too and realize these guys are nothing special. They're just human beings that happen to be your representatives.
Fair enough. Appreciate you coming on, Electric Wolf. You know it's always a spirited debate. Always open
Good to
to
see
you.
you, and let's go Trump 2024.
Good luck with that. Good luck. All right. Wolf is always a good conversation. All right, looking in the comments, somebody said, please get off. David Moore, you sound like my ex-wife while she had a headache. Listen, in the comments, doesn't that sound like somebody that has a bunch of indictments? Yikes. Yikes. Use that for your mindset on Trump. I don't quite get what you're saying. Take your meds. You guys get pretty interested in the comment section. I appreciate you folks rolling with your boy. You could be anywhere you want to be on this app or on social media, so it's always a pleasure to have you here. What do we always say? If you enjoy civilized dialogue, both sides of the aisle, without worrying about the host blocking or banning you because you have an opinion, which you are entitled to, you're in the right place. Follow the program. We let everybody speak. We do it without a moderator. Been doing that so for over a year. There is no moderator on this program, and we make it work. So if this is what you like, you should follow the program. Monday through Friday, we're always here. Tap the screen, get your boy up to around 85,000 if you are enjoying the program. Looking in the comments, you need mods, Tim. KS, I don't like the idea of having mods because mods are biased. I don't want a mod that believes that Trump is being criticized too much and start removing liberals, or liberals that do not like folks who favor Trump and start secretly blocking MAGA. I believe we can see what's going on. If it gets crazy, such as racial issues and things like that, I think in a year's time, I may have personally looked in the comments and taken out, I think, 2 or 3 people I've done. But for the most part, we make it work. There's a few things that you may feel is insulting or someone else may feel is insulting, but you see, I get guests on the program all the time. We have a civilized dialogue. You don't have a lot of insults and things like that back and forth. They state their point, I counter, sometimes I state mine, but at the end of the day, I think we make it work. I think we can actually do it without moderating everybody out of existence. I believe that is the case, but we'll see what happens. Looking in the comments, I have yet heard a Republican talk about Trump's policies. The Chinese embargoes was something that Trump was trying to correct with our trade imbalance being so lopsided. The policy of building a wall and protecting the borders, another one. Getting out of the Iranian deal is something they favored that I don't, but they favor him getting out of the Iranian deal. The policy was to make NATO member states pay their proper defense budget. There's a lot of policies of President Trump. There's a lot of them. You may not like them, but there are a lot of policies. And some of them were promised as opposed to delivered, but they favor those too. Going back to the box, we'll keep it moving with what this is, Fertigrade, or I don't know what I just hit there, but let's see what's going on. Tap the screen as always. Get your boy likes up. 85,000 would be very kind of you. You bringing them up, but they aren't talking policy. All right, TN. Maybe I'm a little bit more awake, savvy on his policies and things like that, but they favor Trump's policies. There are policies there. He wasn't a president that had all of that likability among MAGA for no reason at all. He did have policy. We just on the left do not favor that policy, but there is policy from President Trump. Trump, 20 to 24 years in an orange jumpsuit, where he doesn't have 20 to 24 years left on Earth, probably. So he's not going to do it all in an orange jumpsuit. And I tend to wonder, and my last guest must not be coming through, so we'll clear it and keep it moving. But I tend to wonder if a liberal president, for the sake of the nation, would not consider pardoning Trump. Even with President Biden, I think if things look crazy, like some folks on the right are talking about civil unrest and all of that type of shit, I think for the sake of the country, there may be liberals that would be willing to pardon Trump. I do believe that. Now, with Vivek Ramaswamy, I've told folks before who's asked me, how do I feel about the presidential candidate? I don't like the fact, well, first of all, him talking about raising the voting age is fucking ridiculous, but I also believe with Ramaswamy stating that if he is elected, he would pardon Trump as a deal breaker to even, look into him as a possible selection for 2024, because I believe, let's say Trump is 100% guilty, or innocent rather. Let's say Trump is innocent of everything. It is a true witch hunt. Before suggesting you're going to pardon Trump, I believe the prosecutors in those various jurisdictions should at least have their day in court just like Trump. Let's first hear what the hell actually comes out before yelling, lock him up, or pardon the guy. If you're like Vivek Ramaswamy, stating that you're going to pardon Trump if you are elected before the court cases even begin, how are you any less biased than the Never Trumpers? You're the same damn thing, you're just doing it in favor of Trump. You got folks right now that want Trump locked up before he ever gets his day in court. You got other folks that are yelling he's completely innocent once again before he's ever had his day in court. Both sides are biased as hell. I submit to you that I would like to hear what the prosecutors, folks that are testifying against Trump in his inner circle and all of this shit, I want to hear what they have to say. I'm not going to already, before the case began, dismiss everybody as lying and Trump's the only honest guy in the circle before hearing anybody speak. Ramaswamy is just as biased as any rhino or Never Trumper in existence. He's just in favor of President Trump. Looking in the box, let's keep it moving with No Problem 23. He should get his day in court, and he will. Just open your mind and don't be blind. That is an excellent statement. I agree with that 100%. No Problem 23.
How you doing, Hunter? Nice to see you all the time. I'm always watching you when I get a chance.
Oh, shit, you sound like child support court. I do appreciate that. So, how do you feel about Mitch McConnell caught on stage imitating a block of ice twice in less than a month and a half?
So I'm jumping in now. I don't know. I'm also, look, I'm against really young people, 18 years old, that don't know anything about what's going on in the country. Also, putting people up, for political office. I'm almost against that too.
So wait a minute. You're talking about Vivek Ramaswamy. You're talking about Ramaswamy wanting to raise the voting age from 18 to 25, and you're suggesting that you are against 18-year-olds voting that do not know civics.
I hate this. We're allowed to be honest on your show. I feel that 18 to 25-year-olds still haven't figured out politics 100%.
What about a 40-year-old?
They haven't figured out girlfriends or high school yet to know what's going on in politics.
What about a 40-year-old that hasn't figured out politics? Should he have to prove his way too?
I guess I love your comebacks, bro. That's what your talent is, to come back at someone that says something stupid and shut it down. And I guess, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, let's just be honest. And I'm going to be candid and admit my own personal flaw. I didn't vote until I was in my 30s. So there are plenty of folks who are older than 25 that do not know the system as well. Why do they get an automatic assumption that they are skilled and we hold the 18 to 25-year-olds in a different light?
It's kind of true, but look, that's how we ended up with Trump to begin with. That's how we ended up with Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's how we ended up with all of these, Ronald Reagan. Most of these politicians made it to high office because we watched them on TV, you know?
So are you suggesting, so you would agree, you want the civics test, you want people to know, but so you would be okay with giving us...
Good. I like that. I wouldn't mind. Give me a civics test. If I know what I'm talking about, then I should be allowed to vote. I kind of like that.
To all voters, though, not 18 to 25.
But it won't work. It won't work. It doesn't make sense. It won't. That's gonna...
Let me ask you a second question. Let me ask you a second question in regards to the notion that 18 to 25, they don't always know what's going on. You mentioned they don't even know what's going on with dating and things like that. What about an 18 to 25-year-old that wants a pistol? Is his mind capable enough to do the right thing with a lethal device that you're suggesting he can't do with a voting ballot?
And I'm for gun rights, but I'm going to tell you right now that 18-year-old gets a gun legally and does like that maniac guy that I don't even want to mention. I don't even know why the news puts the face of these piece of crap people on TV so we can see, so to glorify them. But I also think you're right, that 18 or 25-year-old gets into an argument with his girlfriend, or she goes with another young man, and then he wants to go out and kill her. So yeah, it's very complicated.
So would you be willing to raise the age of those who could have a firearm?
Is that there are responsible 18-year-olds and there are responsible 20-year-olds, but if they came up with a law like that, I would probably say, let's make them 25-year-olds. But a 25-year-old, if he gets divorced, he wants to kill his wife with his gun, he's gonna do it. He could do it with a kitchen knife. He could do it with his truck, you know.
I just want to make sure you're on the same playing field. You want them to be mature enough to vote. Do you want them to prove, maybe take a firearms test or something to prove they have the ability to properly handle a firearm?
Well, that's how it is over here. You would get a concealed carry. You went to an instructor. They taught you firearms. They taught you how they.
But you can't. Wait a minute. Are you in America?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, but you can't fail that test. I took that test, and that's one of the things the instructor joked about, is that you can't fail the test. So if you're going...
It's the course.
Yeah, you can't fail it. They'll tell you what they think you need to know, but even if you don't pay attention, as long as you don't have a criminal history or mental background check, you're still going to get the firearms permit.
It's true. You fail a driver's license test, but you can't fail a gun.
Right, right. So you can't suggest that somebody 18 to 25-year-olds are not mature enough to have a voting ballot, but you'll put a lethal pistol in their hands. Does that make any sense?
My son is 23. He's very mature. He has a firearm. And
We're not talking about your son. We're not talking about your son. We're talking about overall.
Well, I'm trying to be unbiased. But there are parts of the country where people, they see a gun and they immediately think it's time to go rob somebody. You know, it's a gun is not for having in your house for self-protection. Immediately, it's a way to make profit, to go rob, carjack, and hurt people. Over here, everyone that has a gun and rifle, they think of hunting during hunting season. They think of keeping it locked near the house by your bed for home protection. But they don't think of getting a gun to go hurt people.
But you cannot pass a law. You cannot pass a law that treats people, say, in your neighborhood different than they do in my neighborhood. Doesn't matter if one person is carjacking. I mean, fact is, if I'm 18 to 25 and I don't have a criminal record, do you think I should be able to own a pistol?
It's a very tough question for people like us.
How are you so clear on the ballot?
I'll be like, no, you are 100% wrong. bear arms, Second Amendment. Yeah, but I'm not. I'm a ghetto child. I grew up in the ghetto, and I would probably support that law that says let them be 25. At least there's a window there, because that's when most between 18 and 25 is when people are finding themselves, when when their minds are just adjusting, when they're going through, boyfriend and girlfriend, and I really think that sounds great. That sounds like a great thing. I mean, why didn't you go for president, man? I would vote you in 100%.
I don't know. I might have a few skeletons in my closet. By the way, all my skeletons are big bone. But hey, I'm always open-minded. But I do got to move it on. No problem. Always a spirited conversation.
Thanks for putting me on. I would love to keep talking to you whenever you get a chance, and give me those tough questions.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what I'm here for. All right. Looking in the comments. By 25, I'd been in the service for 8 years. Hulk, by 25, some people have been voting for 8 years. I'm just simply suggesting that believe an 18 to 25-year-old is too immature to cast a ballot. How do you believe an 18 to 25-year-old should be able to own a firearm? Now, there's a big difference between a 25-year-old that's been in the service for 8 years and somebody who has been around riding bikes, BMX, skateboarding all damn day. It's a big difference, because in the military, they don't allow you to have possession of a firearm without you training on it and passing a test. In the military, if you cannot show proficiency on a firearm, they're not going to give it to you. They're not going to allow you to go around using the damn thing. You think you're going to walk around muzzling everybody and things like that, dropping the magazine out in chow and shit? No, they're not going to let you use it. But in society, in this country, you can own a firearm without showing any proficiency at all. That doesn't happen in the military. So bringing up that, well, it join the military, why shouldn't I be able to own a firearm? Because in the military, they don't let you have it without showing that you know how to use it. Probably the best example would be the Ubalde shooter. Recently turned 18 years of age, used money he had to purchase a couple ARs and a bunch of magazines and ammunition. No training required, no proficiency exam at all. Just show he doesn't have a criminal record, no history of mental illness until he starts smoking people, and they allow you to have a firearm. Do that in the military. They won't hand you an AR-15, a couple, magazines and a bunch of rounds of ammunition, and without you showing you know what the hell you can do. You got to take it apart, clean it. You got to have some type of training to show you can hit the damn target. They don't just hand you a firearm like that. So there's a huge difference of what an 18 to 25-year-old experiences in the military versus in society. In society, you can turn 18 and you're sitting at home on the bed playing Xbox next to an AR-15 that you never even shot before. They don't let you get it like that. Big difference. So that's what I'm suggesting, is that if you got to pass a test to show you're mature enough to vote, it makes no sense at all to ignore that mentality and hand somebody a lethal firearm. That makes no sense at all, at least in my humble opinion. Unfortunately, as always, this is indeed a lunch break live. I do appreciate you folks. Almost 100,000 likes. I would have liked to. I do enjoy speaking with Mago on a daily basis. Liberals are always welcome on the program as well. Nevertheless, I got to get back out here earning a living just like you folks do, pulling myself up by my bootstraps. Catch you guys tomorrow. Follow the program. YouTube. Like I said, always on YouTube, the video is just horrendous.